So talking about the OIB, the Organic Industrial Base, I've recently heard some topic, or excuse me, conversation about the Organic Industrial Base and the Defense Industrial Base and Commercial Industrial Base, and then I've heard senior leaders say, you know what, let's just call it the Industrial Base, right? I mean, there's obviously differences between the people who work for the government that do the industrial base work, and then those who are on the outside, I'm air quoting here, on the
Right.
outside in the commercial industry. But really, it is exceptionally important that government and industry work together to be able to provide industrial base capabilities, right? I mean, that's something we've got to learn to do even better than what we're doing right now. And I know you're focused on that.
Yep. No, you're exactly right. And the way I characterize it, I mean, yes, there is a defense industrial base, and it's comprised of two elements: the commercial industrial base and the organic industrial base. And those two elements together form the defense industrial base, for the Department of War. And there is a continuum, and there should be a continuum between, how we think about the capabilities, the industrial capabilities, the industrial base capabilities that we need. It is a mix. It's a combination of both. It is a continuum that I think we do a pretty good job being deliberate about the investments. The great thing is we've got a super good partnership with industrial base policy. And so when you think about the defense industrial base, so they are sort of up and out, the commercial industrial base. I'm down and in the organic, and then we connect to ensure that there is a continuum of capability, and that we are balancing how we are making those investments. I think there's
Right.
probably, always room to improve. Being deliberate about the decisions we make, and how we balance, the commercial versus organic. But frankly, I think we have a great partnership. I think there's a broad understanding that continuum is important, and that each element of the defense industrial base plays a critical,
Yeah.
albeit different role.
Right. No, it is hugely important. We both, down and out in all the whatever you just said there. I can't repeat it. It is important that each side operate as one, and that we bring our strengths and identify weaknesses or gaps that may exist between the two. And I know that's been a huge focus to make sure that we're able to not just operate, in peacetime. Of course, right now, Operation Epic Fury, you could
No.
say, we are in a wartime situation here. How do we surge, right? How do we get what we need from the organic side, and how do we get what we need from the DIB, and bring all the capabilities forward that's necessary to support that warfire? That's got to be our focus.
Oh, I think it is. I think you see that, from the administration on down.
Absolutely.
All of our strategic documents, reinvigorating revitalizing, rebuilding the defense industrial base. I mean, and that is consistent throughout. And frankly, that's the main effort. From my perspective of what industrial base policy does. We take, I think that the greater depth and resilience, frankly, comes from the commercial industrial base, obviously. But our ability to surge, to respond quickly, to add, to be a bridging solution resides in the organic industrial base. If I need near-term readiness results, there are things we can do. I'll be simplistic here, to increase the output of F-18s coming off the production line. Like, we can do that today. And we're not going to see results, necessarily, but that's very different than, our efforts for critical minerals. Like, I'm not, it's going to take years I got to dig a mine, I got a refining facility, But if we decided we absolutely needed to increase aircraft production at the depot level, we could do that. There'd be things we'd have to do, but so I think that's really the sort of the key difference. And the other aspect is that frankly there are, we have obviously legacy platforms. It's the organic industrial base that maintains the legacy platforms. Like, I don't think
Right.
there'd be a lot of commercial providers that want to take full responsibility for a B-52.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, hey, so let's focus on that for a second. Not necessarily the B-52, but older weapon systems. So we all know that as weapon systems go beyond what their initial expected life was, that you start seeing more and more first-time breaks. You start seeing obsolescence issues, diminishing sources. In fact, you and I both were at the DMSMS conference a few
Right.
months ago and
Yep.
talked about that. But that's something you guys are focusing on too, right? Is how do we overcome these aging weapon systems issues where the mom and pop shops that were the original OEMs for a part, they're no longer in business, or we need to re-engineer something. Are we doing this through advanced manufacturing, reverse engineering, digital twins? I mean, there's so many things to talk about there. Can you focus on that for a bit?
Yeah, I think we're doing all of that, and and at our level, aggressively leveraging AI to help us understand. I've really got two tools that we're developing. One is a readiness assessment tool, so that we can be very quantitative and clear about what the readiness degraders are at the NIN level, and so that we then can collectively, us, DLA, the services can collectively be specific about the targets that we are engaging, that we need to engage in the near term to drive readiness. And we're getting some insights that, already. I mean, we're early in the process, but when you start to take the data and look at it from a departmental wide perspective, you get a lot of insights you didn't see before, because and the services are doing great stuff, but the Army looks at the Army stuff, the Navy looks at the Navy stuff, DLA looks at the DLA stuff. And so, what we're doing is integrating that perspective and getting some unique insights. Again, and I got two tools. One, again, down and in, like what are the quantitative problems, and then I got another one specifically to address like a DMSMS, or not part producing a part's not economically viable, to go up and out, to leverage AI when we're developing agentic AI so that we can have it find solutions at the part level for suppliers who never made the thing before, didn't know they could make the thing, and help us add depth and breadth to how we are scanning, the defense industrial base, because there is manufacturing capacity, as I said, in the organic. But it's really leveraging AI, from our perspective, to be specific and quantifiable, and then we can start to associate dollar amounts.